All right, we're doing our precast countdown as usual with our must-see games of the week by Sean Devine. How you doing, Sean?
I'm doing great, Doug. How are you this evening?
Oh, I'm good. So anyway, you go ahead and tell us about the games that didn't make it.
Sure. Okay. So as you know, I always give you the I gave you the list before the season started, and then we reevaluate every week. Only one game was changed out this week, and it's included in our just missed group of 5 games. That game, the Miami Hurricanes at Florida State Seminoles. I know yourself and Shannon and myself, guys, have been watching college football a long time. The late '80s through the '90s and this was the game of the weekend
Oh, no doubt.
for for many years, and sadly, both teams roll into this game at 4-4. So not gonna make the top 3 list, and both are still trying to get bowl eligible at this point in time. Some of the other games that didn't make it. TCU at Oklahoma State. I do think it's going to be a totally good game, but really, as far as national relevance, not much importance. Same with the ACC. You have a very nice matchup of what used to be very good powers in Pitt and Georgia Tech, but Georgia Tech's rebuilding, and Pitt is middling along. Probably will win their division and play Clemson and get pounded. Lastly, another ACC matchup, which I think will be a good game, is Virginia at North Carolina. Bronco Mendenhall against Matt Brown. I think that's going to be a good game. And then the game that I know Shannon will probably tune into a little bit, the K-State Wildcats coming off the big win over Oklahoma visit Les Miles and the Fighting Jayhawks. So we'll see if Les can pull off the upset there in Lawrence. So those are your games that just missed for, I think are we week 10 now? Is this week 10?
Yes, it is.
Week 10. Gosh, can't believe it. Time is just flying by this year.
It is.
But let's jump into our big 3 games that I think are going to be the most important on what you would call at least for my thoughts, a pretty light schedule this week, if at least from looking at what I've seen. What do you think, Doug?
Yes. You talking about in big games?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a heavy schedule this week.
No,
I
it's
think we've
not.
had one of these weeks beforehand, either week 3 or week 4. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Definitely
But
hard to find a really big game.
I mean, like you said on the smacking off page, I think Game Day's doing the SMU Memphis game. I mean, you'd have to go back years to see them going to a game like that.
Exactly, and that's the game we're featuring tonight when Robert Arthur and Timothy Ray Bailey come on.
And I'm going to watch that game, and it's no disrespect to that game, but unless SMU wins out and a lot of things shake out, it probably won't matter for the grand scheme of things as far as college football playoff. These games do. These games matter, and they're rivalry games. So we'll start with number 3. The 7-1 and 7th-ranked Oregon Ducks visit the USC Trojans, who are 5-3, and they're middling along. They've had injuries. They've had a couple of good wins and a couple of bad losses. Unless SMU wins out and a lot of things shake out, it probably won't matter for the grand scheme of things as far as college football playoff. These games do. These games matter, and they're rivalry games. So we'll start with number 3. The 7-1 and 7th-ranked Oregon Ducks myself, the USC Trojans, who are 5-3.
I don't. What's causing that?
They're middling along. They've had injuries. They've had a couple of good wins and a couple of bad losses. Unless SMU wins out and a lot of things shake out,
Jeez, what's causing that?
probably won't matter for the grand scheme of things as far as college football playoff. These games do.
You still there?
Okay. Yeah, I'm here, and it's okay. It stopped. All right, cool. So where was I here? Okay. So USC and Clay Helton. Clay Helton's fighting for his job. They're going to get bowl eligible, but how far they get is really the key. It could start with a home win, an upset win over Oregon. The problem with this is I really think Oregon is the Pac-12's last true shot at getting to the college football playoff. They're going to need to win out, and they're going to need a little help. But they're really the last-ditch effort. I know Utah is sitting there, and we'll get to Utah. They're sitting there with one loss. But Cristobal has his team playing well. I saw Oregon in person a couple weeks ago with the Dogfather, Bruce Martinez, when Oregon visited Washington. They were down by 2 touchdowns twice in that game, and the resiliency of that team, they came back. They're really strong at the offensive line position. Now, as far as the series is concerned, USC owns the series. They lead at 38 wins to 20 losses and 2 ties all time. Though they're in different divisions, and this one is similar to what I would consider Alabama and Georgia in the SEC. They don't play all that often. Their last meeting came all the way back in 2016, which happened to be a USC win in LA. All-time USC is clearly the far better program. Oregon has no national championships. They don't even claim any as far as unclaimed. Conference championships, USC dominates this 39-11. Heisman's, Oregon has 1, and Mariota, USC has technically 6, arguably 7. We all saw Reggie Bush play. Same with draft picks. However, the key stat here, in the last 5 games, Oregon leads 3-2, and over the last 10, it's tied at 5-5. And Oregon has made it a part of their program to go into California and get the players that would normally go to USC. The line in this game, Oregon is favored by 5.5 with an over-under of course, 62.5 points. So I still think this is going to be a good game. I really do, even though Oregon's favored. I didn't so much like what I saw out of Herbert, the Oregon quarterback who's so highly touted. A lot of wobbly passes in that game at Washington, and it wasn't windy out or anything, so Eason proved to have the stronger arm of the 2 quarterbacks that were featured that day. So that's game 3.
Okay.
Moving along to game number 2, I had mentioned them before. The 7-1 and 9th-ranked Utah Utes are visiting Bruce Martinez's Washington Huskies, who are sitting at 5-3. That game, I would be remiss. Both the Pac-12 games are going to be on Fox, all times being Eastern. Utah at Washington is 4 o'clock Eastern on Fox, and Oregon at Southern Cal is at 8 o'clock on Fox, so not too late for folks on the East Coast. This series, Washington has dominated Utah. It's not even close. Washington leads the series 12 wins to 1 loss and no ties. Washington, historically far better program. Utah still doesn't have a Pac-12 conference championship to their name. They do claim, surprisingly, 1 unclaimed national title from 2008. I found that funny.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Neither team has a Heisman winner. They're both really fighting to gain more relevance. They're good programs. They're very good programs. Washington has 2 national titles, 1960 and 1991, both being split in those years. As we know, last year, this was the Pac-12 title game. Washington won it 10-3. Going to be a defensive struggle as always. Washington seems to have a little bit more of an answer on the offensive side of the ball to put points on the board. I know Utah's put some points on the board against some lesser competition, but offensively, they played 8 games. Their leading receiver only has a little bit more than 300 yards receiving. That's terrible. They struggle to throw the ball. But what they do well is they play defense. They have a lot of great players on defense, particularly a defensive back by the name of Blackman. He has got a number of pass deflections and interceptions, so he could be on the prowl looking to pick off a Jacob Eason pass, which we've seen in the past. Jacob Eason sometimes makes mistakes.
Yes.
The line on this game, Utah is only a 3.5-point favorite with an over-under of 47.5. Utah has struggled in the past to go into Seattle and win. It's a tough place to play for them. And Husky fans are going to be ready for this one. They gave Oregon all they could handle, and I think they're going to give Utah all they can handle. And Chris Peterson, he's a hell of a coach. Kyle Whittingham's been at Utah for 15 years. He's a very good coach, but again, like we've seen with a lot of other programs, struggles to get them over that final hurdle.
Yep.
All things being said, I like Washington in the upset in this game at home, particularly if the weather stays poor as it is. It's been chilly. We could get rain. We don't know yet, but if there's rain, I like Washington in this game.
All right.
Which leads us to our number one, and really the game of the day, the most important game of the day, the always great world's largest outdoor cocktail party.
Oh, you're not allowed to call it that anymore, are you?
Not allowed to call that anymore.
Yeah, we're fucking calling it that. Goddamn it.
We're calling it that here. So the 7-1 and 6th ranked Florida Gators and the 8th ranked and 6-1 Georgia Bulldogs face off at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on CBS. Neutral site matchup at TIAA Bank Field. Natural grass field, seats 84,000. It's going to be split in red and black and orange and blue, as always. You talk about two programs that are super similar historically and in nature. Georgia leads the series 51 wins to 43 defeats and 2 ties in this series. Florida has 3 national titles. Georgia has 2. Florida has 3 Heisman winners. Georgia has 2. They both have winning bowl records. They've both produced numerous NFL draft picks and NFL first-round draft picks. Over the last 5, Florida leads at 3 games to 2, and over the last 10, it's tied 5-5. They're going to battle for the Okefenokee ore, which is a 10-foot tall ore made out of a 1,000-year-old cypress tree. Though there was some talk between both coaches in this series right now, Dan Mullen and Kirby Smart, about potentially leaving Jacksonville. Just recently, they extended the contract with the city of Jacksonville through, I think, 2023. Both schools are going to get about $6.6 million to keep playing there. This game is the de facto SEC East championship game. Whoever wins this game, I think, is coming out of the East. Granted, Georgia's got a little bit of a harder road. They still have Auburn and Texas A&M. Florida has a little bit of an easier path to get in there. The line on this game, surprisingly to me, this is the most surprising note. Florida is a 6.5-point underdog going into this game.
Yeah, I'm not wrapping my brain around that, but I would gladly take 6.5 in Florida.
I would as well. Right now, I think the line will move as we get closer to Saturday because they just came out today. Over under is 47. I don't see them hitting that number. Both teams kind of struggled to score the football, particularly as of late. Georgia, they were only putting up 21 points on Kentucky, and it took them a while to get to that 21-point number. I think this game comes down to which quarterback makes the least amount of mistakes. You have Jake Fromm, when he's good, he's very good. I've seen him in person. He can throw a very lovely ball. But at other times, he can make mistakes like he did in the South Carolina game. As far as running backs, Georgia running back by committee is always Swift, Harrion, and White are amazing running backs. But they're countered by P. Ryan over on the Florida side. P. Ryan's a hell of a tailback, and he can break it if you give him a hole. Defensively, Georgia's been consistent but unimpressive. Florida's been impressive other than the LSU game. That was a tough game for them going over to Baton Rouge. But basically the rest of your Florida's really been holding teams down. I love their defensive backs. Reed and Stinner, Dean, and Davis, the 3 defensive backs they have. Very exciting players. Now, can they control what should be 3 really good receivers in Pickens, Cager, and Robertson? But the problem with Georgia's receivers as of late, they've got hands of stone as of late. They've dropped a lot of things they should have caught. But I think this one's going to be your typical Florida-Georgia game. It's going to go down to the last couple minutes of the game. And the teams that don't commit penalties and turnovers are going to win this game. Right now, I think Georgia, for some odd reason, I like Georgia pull this one out and ruin kind of Florida's season. But I could be entirely wrong. For some odd reason, I think Georgia having that bye week, I think they're going to figure it out and play to their potential. If they do, they should win the game.
You think it's going to be close?
But it's going to be razor close. We're talking 24-21 or 27-24, something like that. A typical Georgia-Florida game.
Gotcha.
The great thing is one side is going to leave extraordinarily happy, and the other is going to be just sour and bitter, and it's going to be great. And that's what you want, right, in a big game like this in the SEC. So I'll be for sure tuning into this one. And the great thing is there's really nothing else on at that time during the day that is going to really bottle it up. I looked at the Big Ten. I looked at the the Big Eight and the ACC, there's really not a lot of marquee matchups this weekend. It's kind of a pause weekend as we build towards the culmination at the end of November and obviously the conference championship weekend.
Right. All right. Well, there's your games, and I'm looking forward to Week 11.
Yeah, can't
this
wait for
shit
Week
is
11.
moving-
We got some big ones.
And this shit is moving too fast for me. This goddamn season is.
Yeah.
All right,
Well,
Sean.
thank you so much, Doug. It's a pleasure talking to you, and give my best to Shannon. I hope
We'll
he's
do.
around.
All right, we'll do, and we'll be.
Talk to you guys next week. Enjoy the weekend.
All right, guys. We'll be going silent here for a second, and then we'll be kicking in the intro.
I also can prophesize the future, and I also can see subliminal messaging.
Okay, I'll tell you what, Miss Pillberry's slow, girl. Now, I'm
But really? I'm pretty sure I could truck the shit out of you, you fucking overgrown baby.
Dude, whatever you're smoking, buy a ton of it.
I'm the greatest smack talker on the fucking face of the earth right now.
Possibility of women playing in the league, I don't think it's impossible.
You a fucking punk ass bitch!
Jesus Christ, that hurt. I'm still gonna.
I'm fucking real, bro. You ain't shit.
Well, this is smacking off. If you don't like it, change your diaper and leave.
Don't be ridiculous right now, okay?
I'd rather watch softcore porn than have to watch all of that.
No, that's how you make opium, and then from there you gotta cross it.
Bro, who invited this dude, bro? What the fuck? Get this dude out of here, bro.
No, USC is far better than Oklahoma historically.
Oh, mate, your meatloaf is moist as my pussy can. I promise you that.
Oh shit, this has turned into Kane Arthur's drug class.
How long?
They need you back at the cash register in 5 minutes.
Well, Ticky's like Pike minus the entertainment value.
Smacking Off the podcast is starting in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
And welcome back to Smacking Off the podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Madden. I'm joined with Doug Phillips. I like the music in the background. That's nice. It is our official Halloween episode. Because actually, we normally broadcast on Thursday, which this year is Halloween.
Right.
But Doug's got some trick-or-treating to do.
I'm not going to be trick-or-treating, but I got that thing I got to do.
Man, you're going to be trick-or-treating.
Yeah. Okay.
You mean to tell me you're not going to benefit from any of the candy hauled in by your daughter?
Maybe.
Come on, dude. You're going to at least like a Snickers or... Are you a Snickers guy?
No.
What are you into?
I'm not really.
What's your candy?
Nerds.
Are you a nerd guy? So
yeah.
you like the sweet and the like sweet tarts and those types. I can't do those candies anymore. I can only do chocolate.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's because I don't know.
Nobody.
What does that mean if you just eat chocolate? I mean, maybe I could have been a heroin addict. I don't know.
Could have been.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, because isn't that what the heroin or the opiate addicts they crave the chocolate once they kick?
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to be up on these things, man. It's 2019. Everybody's on the heroin now.
It's the thing to do. I should just try it.
Yeah. I'm sure Bob Arthur, who's going to be on the show a little bit later on, I'm sure he's got a story or two. I mean, not currently, of course. You know, Robert is a upstanding member of the community now, but he's told a tale or two on the show that makes me believe that he might know a little bit about the smack. All right. Well, we also have our usual President Pike will be doing some predictions. I feel like I'm leaving somebody else. Alan Foxworth. Yeah,
he's
that's
supposed
right.
to come on, and I'm seeing if
Alan Foxworth, paging Alan Foxworth. We actually, and I just gotta talk about this for half a second. Of course, Shannon Russell, who's a frequent contributor to the show, a huge LSU fan. We have her slated for next week, and we played a little prank on her, making her think that we were going to pair her up with a certain, I believe her name is Polly Wright Rogers. They've been smacking left and right on in other groups, and Thought it'd be a good idea to bring them on, or at least make Shannon think she was coming on. Is he stiff enough?
If Alan does not answer this, I'm going to do his picks for him, or you can, and you're going to go as retarded as you can with it.
Yeah,
and he is getting that record if that happens.
Motherfucker. Alan, come on, man. Come on. Don't do this to me.
This is ringing. It typically says unreachable, though. No.
Who's that person in the photo with you?
That's his wife right there, I think. And
That
this
his lady?
And this is him.
Yeah, they're a cute couple. They really are.
Now, I don't know if he's got a lady. I'm just kind of.
If they came to my doorstep with like a cake because I moved in the neighborhood, I'd eat that cake. I would definitely eat that cake. They look like good, wholesome people.
Yeah.
Okay.
No answer.
No answer, man. That sucks. But anyways, I was going on about the Shannon Russell thing, and you totally interrupted me.
Okay, go ahead.
Shannon Russell. We played a little prank on her, making her think that she was going to come on tonight and face Polly Wright Rogers. But Shannon will actually be on next week with Corey. Help me on this one. Corey Taylor.
Corey Green.
No, Corey Taylor. That was the lead singer of Slipknot, I believe.
Possibly, yes.
I don't know. I don't keep up with all that hip hop music. You know, it's a bunch of clicks and whistles to me. So, all right. Well, I guess then we're gonna do.
I'll do his picks, and I'll get the goddamn credit for it. Or you do it.
I want to do it.
All right. Well, let me. Do me grab a picture and put you. Over?
You know, I never. You know, and let's go ahead and. I don't think I've ever. I mean, I've probably made a preference or two to some games, but I really haven't gotten involved too much in the picks, because I suck at it. Let's go ahead and get that straight right now. If you are a member of our hashtag Family Smack, the little pick'em group that we added in ESPN, I suck ass right now. I think I'm like 6th. I took a bad hit last week because I put like
it was a bad week for everybody.
We play Confidence. I don't know if the other people in other Smack groups. I know that there's a few of the Smack groups that participate in the ESPN pick'em thing every week, where you pick, basically, they give you 10 random college football games, some of them big, some of them not so big. And you have to kind of, basically pick and choose who's going to win. And they also give you if you play Confidence, then they have a little number on the side, and you can move that number from 1 to 10. So if I move a game to 10, that means that I really think that absolutely there is no way in hell that this team is going to, lose this game, the one that I pick at number 10. Well, picking 1, it could be a toss-up one way or the other. You know who my 1 was last week?
Who's that?
Auburn LSU.
Yeah.
I figure both Gabriel Griffin and Shannon Russell should appreciate that one because that was too close to call, and I think the final score reflected that. Oh,
here we go.
Excellent. Yeah.
Okay, and it don't
Who's
say
that guy?
All right, so let's do this shit.
Yeah, I'm very attractive.
All right,
Not
one second. All right, Virginia Tech at Notre Dame.
Kelly's kind of fighting for his job in this one. If you want to get down to it,
not according to Devine. He's
if he loses this game, he damn sure is. I'm going to go ahead and pick Notre Dame. This one is at home. This should be a raucous crowd, and this is not the Virginia Tech that of old. This is a pretty lethargic team.
If it is the Virginia Tech of old, it's the Virginia Tech of last year who lost to Old Dominion.
Mm-hmm. So yeah,
right.
there's that to consider.
So you're going with those Fighting Irish?
Fighting Irish, yeah. Let's do it.
All right, next, and you're really going to be interested in this.
This is actually going to be, even though we've got some big games coming up down toward the end. This is my second favorite matchup on this list.
K-State at Kansas. K-State. Oh,
K-State is their chest is out like.
But they got to be a little drunk.
Yeah, and they're not playing at home in this one. This one's actually at Kansas, and Kansas is on a high of their own.
Kansas wants that second conference win, goddammit.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, man, it's going to happen. Timothy Ray Bailey told me on this show that Kansas would not secure a conference win. They would go winless in the conference. Now he's trying to dial back that statement on.
Well, he's
social
saying
media,
if they did win one, it would be the.
We're going to pull the audio eventually before, especially if Kansas wins this game. We're definitely pulling.
Well, you
that
can
audio.
talk to him about it.
And I want to play it on a loop, just kind of quietly in the background as we do the whole entire show.
Right.
I think that's what the people want. I mean, is that what y'all want out there? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay,
you going with the Jayhawks?
I'm going with the Jayhawks on this one simply due to the fact that K-State is not that great of a team. They're just not. I'm sorry, but when you essentially kind of run the same game week in and week out, that's something that teams can prepare for. Oklahoma, who came into this feeling pretty good about their defense, suddenly got shredded by fucking Kansas State.
Yep.
So, what it is.
All right, now this one, huge fucking game if this was 25 years ago.
Yeah, man. Oh, man, I remember back when this was a big game. I was actually living in Orlando when this game appeared in 1990. Oh, God, help me, Doug.
Oh, you're talking.
That would have been 90.
I mean, you're talking about one of those where
91.
It was that period where they were like, whoever wins this game is going to be in the national championship.
Yeah, it really. It's kind of like
a playoff game.
It's kind of like one of your like your Big Ten rivals like Michigan, Ohio State, that sort of thing.
And hey, you can flip a coin now and probably get as close.
And really, this game is going to this is probably the toughest one to pick.
Both got 4 wins, I think.
Yeah, and they both look like the same team. They look pretty interchangeable, offense and defense. I mean, they're practically an interchangeable program at this point. So I don't know. This is at Florida State. I'm gonna give it to the Seminoles on this one.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
All right. Let's.
And the thing is if it was at Miami,
mm-hmm.
I don't know. I probably still might give it to Florida State because of the proximity of Tallahassee to Miami. It's not that bad of a drive. You've made that drive before.
I have.
Yeah.
All right. So if this one here now, if Washington could have beat a hapless fucking California team, who else have they lost to? Help me out, Tiggy, where are you? They've got 3 losses. If Washington had 1 loss, this would be a huge game this week.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It will be a huge game if Washington wins this one at home, but I just don't think they have the stones to do it. Utah is playing at that. They're playing like the number 9 team in the nation. They're playing like a top 10 team right now. They're handling opponents like they should. Lesser opponents in their conference, they're easily cruising by, and that wasn't a horrible Cal team. Cal's definitely, they're not in the upper echelon of anything right now, but they're playing decent football. So for Utah to go in and demoralize them like they did last weekend, I'm going to give it to Utah on this one. Washington definitely finds ways to lose games like this.
Yep, I agree.
Consistently.
All right. Ole Miss and Auburn, at Auburn.
Auburn, that's a no-brainer. This is at Jordan-Hare. Jordan-Hare is a very tough place to win. Auburn's looking kind of weird right now, and usually when Auburn looks weird, that's when they're extremely, extremely dangerous. This game is at home. I can't stress that enough.
I'm not going to, I'm not picking right now, but I'm just going to.
You really think that Ole Miss is going to be Auburn?
I think it's possible.
I want to hear your rationale on this.
Emotional game at LSU come up short. Gonna be a little flat. Going to be a little flat. Hard to get up for Ole Miss. Ole Miss got a good offense. Stranger things have happened.
Auburn has an amazing defense, though.
Stranger things have happened. We'll see.
Whose defense is better right now, Auburn's or Alabama's?
Auburn's.
So.
Auburn's definitely.
And I just the Ole Miss has a good offense, but it's just not an offense that's going to beat Auburn's defense. I really don't. However, Auburn has they've still got that huge question mark at the quarterback position, and you're hearing a lot of grumbling and rumbling about, and I've even said it on the show about nepotism, still allowing Nix to be under center instead of Joey Gatewood.
Right.
And I know virtually nothing about Gatewood except for the fact that Auburn fans are extremely high on him. Is he a better quarterback? I have no idea of knowing that.
I think everybody was high on Nix before he actually started losing some games.
Yeah, but I mean, and the thing is that in the games he's won, he's looked actually just.
Yep.
So if it weren't for the run game, they would be in some serious trouble right now.
All right, the Oregon
And
Ducks.
they will be in serious trouble if they lose this game at home. So
How about these Ducks? They're going to USC. They're going to Los Angeles to play the USC Trojans.
And here's a team that lost to Auburn, the number 7 team in the nation right now. That's, I don't know, man. That's still, is this going to be the one that finally, exposes Oregon for, for who they really are?
Possibly.
Yeah.
If they
Because this
lose.
is at USC. It's going to be pretty intimidating playing in front of the home crowd. I don't know. I'm still liking Oregon in this one.
Man, I'm looking at this list, and it looks more suited for you than it does Foxworth.
It really does. Because this is my favorite game on here right now, and that's UAB at Tennessee.
I know you don't have the balls to pick UAB in this game.
I absolutely do. I'm setting my balls right now on the table. UAB wins this one. They do in an absolute stunner. It's going to be a low-scoring game.
I won't be stunned if it happens.
I don't. UAB's going to win.
All right, so
UAB is going to Neyland, and they're going to embarrass Tennessee.
Earlier in the year, I said
stick a knife in them; they're done.
Earlier in the year, I said Ole Miss, Arkansas battle for the least in the West, or the worst in the conference, really. But I think I was
can
wrong.
I say one additional thing?
You can.
UAB has a top 5 defense right now. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe this
statistically NCAA state.
Maybe this is a battle for the worst teams in the conference. Sorry, let me change to that. Mississippi State at Arkansas.
Who gets fired after this game? I think Old Morris is safe.
I say they fire.
I say Morris is safe even if he loses.
Gary Danielson, fire his ass.
Is Moorhead? Is he going after this one?
I think it's possible.
Bulldog fans are pissed.
Things aren't looking good. I mean, things are looking bad even by Bulldog standards. So.
Yeah. Again, this is kind of like that Miami-Florida State game, except this is going to be way worse. So I don't know. I'm gonna give the edge to Mississippi State for this one. I don't know why, because this is at Arkansas.
Yep.
But I don't know. I think Moorhead's again coaching for his job in this one. If he loses it, expect that seat to have some serious flames under it.
Yep. All right, probably the biggest Group of 5 game of the year. Game day is actually going to Memphis. Game day
is huge.
It is huge.
That is that, and again, not just a Memphis playing, Ohio State or Oklahoma or some shit like that. They're going there for SMU.
Right.
That's a really big deal. And
which let me go ahead and bring this up. I don't know what.
Do you know who both of these teams have to thank for this?
Who's that?
UCF. Absolutely.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
But here's the thing: SMU got the death penalty back in, I believe, 1987.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what is it now? 32 years later. Is that right? 32 years later.
I don't know. That requires me to think right now.
It seems like it.
Yeah.
A lot of years later, here we go. The NCAA now says that players can profit from their name today.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that?
Yes.
Big story. We probably should have been covering that instead of Alan Fox.
And I think that will probably be a SMU byline. But, as far as the pick on this one, it's at Memphis. The home crowd's going to be really rowdy for this one, particularly because game day is there. And game day, just go ahead and give y'all a quick, pro tip. If you've ever been to Memphis before, keep your shit locked down. Them motherfuckers over there ain't playing.
What's going on, Bruce? Got Bruce Martinez in the house. Now, let's go. Did you pick on this game?
I like Memphis at home on this one. I do.
Okay.
And it's going to be a high-scoring game. It's going to be fun to watch, I think.
Yep. All right, game of the day. Easily. You don't think so?
I don't care about either team.
All right, the world's largest cocktail party in Jacksonville, Florida. You got your number 8 Georgia Bulldogs versus your number 6 Florida Gators.
Alabama. Next question.
We can't go with that.
I don't know. Both teams are really. There's a lot of weird stuff going on with both teams, and again, this one's too close to call for me. It really is. I think it'll be kind of one of those 31-28 kind of deals, or
All right,
31-24 or something like that.
All you got to do is call the one that's going to score 31.
And that's the thing. I really can't. I mean, and if I'm just sitting there kind of going over the personnel and just, I mean, this one's been really, really, really tough for me. And I had no idea I was picking on it tonight, so, what the fuck? I don't know.
Who's your best? Who's your new internet best friend?
Who?
And who does she pull for?
Who you talking about? Which one?
Contributor Nikki Mays.
Nikki Mays, yeah. She's a gator.
But if you ever want to fuck Uncle Lou.
But there's Uncle Lou, too. Right. And, Uncle Lou is a very sensual man.
Yep.
I don't know. This is so fucking hard for me. Georgia and Florida. Let me think. Alabama. Next question.
You want me to pick for you?
Yeah, Alabama.
We're going with Florida.
No, we're not. I'm going for Georgia to win on the road.
All right, Georgia. Well, it's not really. It's on the road, but it's on the road for both of them. It's a neutral site, but.
Well, it is. No, I mean, where's it at? Where's this game?
Jacksonville, Florida.
I mean, that's a
long way from Gainesville.
Yeah, but I mean, it's even longer away from Athens, right?
Is
it closer?
It's close to the midway point. I think it may be closer to Athens.
Wow.
I'd have to look that up.
They should have just rolled over to Auburn and played it there.
I think so, yeah.
They have the facilities. I wouldn't hang out at that, like, Opelika or any of the outlying areas.
They should have played it in Tokyo, I think.
Did you hear about Harvey Updike? They're talking about bringing his ass in to go to jail. I think he's on a bus right now.
Was he behind or something?
Yeah, he's way behind. That motherfucker's got to come up with $800,000 for those. Yeah.
No, not at one time.
Doug.
They're asking him to cough all of it.
I mean, he's not making them payments, and that's what they normally do. They'll throw your ass in jail.
Yeah.
So he's coming up here to do some time. So I think, I mean, this is the best chance we're ever going to get to, like, get a live interview with Harvey Updike.
I think they should make an Updike sitcom.
Can we go to the prison and do, like, because you got to do the video phone
What
thing
prison?
Now. I don't know, whatever one they send him to. I'm sure it's going to be somewhere down toward Lee County. Those fucking assholes.
Get the numbers, and we'll look in the band. Sorry,
the band fund.
We'll look in the podcast fund.
Do we still have any money left in the band fund?
I don't know.
I think we divvied that up, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
I bought crack with mine. Yeah.
Oh shit.
No, I don't know. For some strange reason, I think Georgia. I don't know. They're a little irritated right now. They came into this. Among in the conversation for among the best in the country, and they haven't delivered that. And I think they're going to come into this game with a chip on their shoulder.
Yep.
So I don't know. We'll see.
All right, we'll see how you do against picks, and you're going to go right up there with the rest.
I don't care if I'm 1-9. The only one I want to get right there is that UAB Tennessee game, baby.
I got you.
Go Blazers!
All right, you may go to a commercial, and then we're gonna hit up Timothy and Robert here in a minute.
Excellent.
Have you tried Wheaties? They're whole wheat with all of the bran. Won't you try Wheaties? For wheat is the best food of man. They're crispy and crunchy the whole year through. The kiddies never tire of them, and neither will you. So just buy Wheaties, the best breakfast food in the land.
You are now listening to Smacking Off the Podcast. Like and comment on our damn videos. Subscribe to our fucking channel. I really hate you dumb fuckers need to be told that. You should have already subscribed. Jesus fucking Christ.
Smacking Off invites you to join us on the podcast. If you have an opinion on an upcoming game, some commentary on your conference, or want to roll with one of your fellow smackers on air, hit us up. You can message us at the Smacking Off or X's and O's Facebook pages, email me at maddenshannon@toothfairy.com, or call us on the Smack line, 304-508-BAIT. And as always, fuck your team. Welcome back to Smacking Off, the podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Madden. I'm joined with Doug Phillips, and we are joined on the line with Mr. Timothy Ray Bailey and Bob Arthur. What up, fellas?
What's going on, guys?
We're here to talk about the SMU Memphis matchup, what we were just talking about a moment ago. Let's do it, fellas.
Hey, did y'all know that game day is going to be there?
Oh, yeah, everybody's excited about that.
Yep.
That's pretty crazy.
It is.
Yeah, it's crazy that they would actually take that much money and equipment to Memphis. Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hardcore, man.
They better hang on to that shit.
They better have some armed guards on that shit, because them Memphis boys, they don't play, man. You get your shit
so much
jacked
for the
up there.
cocktail party, right?
Yeah, yeah. You better do that, in the bathroom, like between sips. You don't want anybody to see you drinking up there, because they're going to follow you back to your car and rob your ass.
I think they just wanted to grab.
Memphis is hardcore, friend.
ESPN just wanted to grab this G5 game, while there was one, because they don't present themselves very often, and you got two teams in the top 25.
And UCF isn't going to do it, so.
Not this year.
Oh, that's good.
And UCF is still a good team, man.
They are.
They're not going to win their league, though.
Yeah, they're all right.
Cincinnati got that breaker.
Yeah, it happens like that.
Well, they're all in the same league with Memphis and SMU.
Yes.
Right?
AAC is better than the ACC this year.
You're absolutely right.
Dane, do you agree? Oh, Dane has nothing to say.
Dane has nothing to say about that, do you? Shut the fuck up, Dane.
All right, this game. I don't know a lot about these teams. That's why I brought you guys on.
Well, SMU hasn't lost a game yet this year. They just had a close one against Houston. They've done well defensively, pretty well this year, but they struggled against Houston, and they gave up 510 yards of offense.
Ooh.
You can't also forget their game against Tulsa. That game went to multiple overtimes, and we had a double college kicker and stuff happen in that game. So
is this team,
SMU is a little lucky to be alive.
They live in on borrowed time. Go ahead.
But they did go to TCU and upset the Horned Frogs, and without that upset loss, TCU would probably be a ranked team right now. They ended up going up to Fort Worth and taking them out, and really for a while they were up big in that game until the end.
Tim, I don't understand why the Big 12 doesn't bring in SMU and probably Houston as well.
Well, there's a couple reasons. The first reason is those TV sets already kind of belong to the Big 12, so they're not going to really add anything in terms of revenue. So financially, they're just kind of extra mouths to feed. And then secondly, I don't think that Oklahoma and Texas would prefer to divvy up any more of those Texas recruits that are now that they're not getting any more all of, because they're going to A&M and like LSU and Bama. I don't think they want to divvy those guys up anymore, because Ed Oliver was a total I know a lot of people, when Ed Oliver went to Houston, that was a huge deal in the Oklahoma and Texas rooms, and I don't think that they want more Ed Olivers going to Houston or SMU.
Yeah.
I think that plays a role. That's probably why UCF also is a member of a power league as well.
Right. So what you're saying, there's nothing to gain here. If they were going to bring in another team, they would want to bring in another big TV market that they don't already have.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it would make sense to grab, Cincinnati, for example.
Yep.
It would open up recruiting in the state of Ohio, as well as bring in TVs there. Maybe the Big 12 could add UCF, add the Florida market to the Big 12. But yeah, I don't see them having any interest in bringing in a program like SMU or Houston that are already in the backyard and don't really. They don't really have anything
it's
to
funny
give.
that now in 2019 we have conversations like that when we talk about possible, teams deferring from one conference and heading to another. And it's more now, and Timothy's absolutely correct. I mean, there's so much more of the business end that goes into those decisions now than used to be of years past.
I mean, Houston absolutely should be a Power 5 team. Houston has all, and so should UCF. They have the university size, they have the money, they have the brand. Those programs just simply aren't because the people, the man doesn't really care to add those guys into the pie.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think Houston would be good for some conferences, just not the Big 12.
Well, sure. Like, what if the SEC was to decide to add a team like Houston?
Yeah.
Or maybe, Memphis coming to the Big 12 could be an interesting one, too. Memphis is a Tennessee. It gives them a closer opponent to West Virginia.
I don't know. I think the SEC did a lot better in the state of Texas with Texas A&M myself.
Well, I mean, yeah, but
oh yeah, for sure.
But would it help? Would it help the SEC to get further into the state of Texas by adding Houston? Because the Big 12
certainly take some of those players out of Texas and Oklahoma's grips.
Well, and
sure.
what Timothy's also saying is that they'll also rob a little bit off of A&M, which right now needs all the help they can get.
Well,
Jimbo's making a lot of money down there
because
to be.
All they do is take the players from OU and Texas that could help them have rosters similar to Alabama.
Jimbo's making a lot of money down there to be with the the awful showing that he's had. So not awful, but it's still not what they're paying him.
5-loss frenzy.
See also Gus Malzahn. See also Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah. Now as far as Memphis goes, Memphis has got historic ties to the Metro Conference and Conference USA, and basketball is also important to them.
Yeah.
So they feel like that they can, if they can win in whatever the Metro Conference calls itself today, the AAC, that they can get bids in the NCAA tournament and make money off of that. Whereas if they go into the SEC, for example, they'd be bottom feeders. They'd probably get their piece of the contract. And in the Big 12, I don't know if they've got enough pull to make any money for them,
The problem for SMU is, the Big 12 chose their Christian Dallas school. They chose TCU. And ultimately, I think that closed the door for SMU. It's kind of sad because they wouldn't be a bad addition for the fans and for college football maybe in general. But it would be a bad addition for the league in terms of dollars and cents,
Has
for sure.
the stigma of getting the death penalty in the 80s, you think it still haunts them a little bit?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what I was going to say. Is
Well, if the Big 12 don't want the help, we can always just send them over to the Pac.
SMU in the back?
Yeah,
I love
yeah,
it.
SMU in the Pac. That's a wonderful. Yeah.
All right, so this game, what do we know about this game, and is it going to be worth watching? And does
this should
SMU
be a fun game.
Does SMU bite the dust here?
I don't
This
know.
is probably the best opportunity.
I think.
Robert,
I
what
think
do
they're
you
going to put up a lot of points. I think it's going to be exciting. They're going to put up a lot of points. I mean, last week you got over 500 yards of offense given up by SMU and 584 yards given up by Memphis. Now, Memphis is, 5.5-point underdogs?
At home.
But at home, which I don't know if that could hold up. But I've seen SMU and I've seen Memphis this year, and I think SMU's a little more polished than Memphis, but I think it's going to be Memphis carries a lot of luck, and I think it's going to be a huge scoring game.
Yep.
Interesting right now, the spread betting percentages as far as the money bet on this game, SMU 57%, Memphis 43%. That's at least the public is edging SMU out in this game slightly.
I definitely think Memphis has a great chance to win the game. I do think a lot like Bob said, definitely see a potential for a lot of points here in this game. I think the big difference for me in this game comes down to quarterback play. And 5-star former Texas quarterback Shane Buechele plays for SMU, and that's really been the big difference for SMU this year. They've been able to really move the ball through the air, and it's hard to bet against them. And then they also have a couple of receivers that transferred from Power 5 schools, so they're kind of like a middle of the pack Power 5 team playing out there in the group of 5 in terms of what talent they have on their roster. And so it's kind of been one of those things where it's kind of been cat and mouse. But let's not pretend. SMU has cut it close a few times. The Tulsa game, I mean, a dude missed a 13-yard, like a 13 or 17-yard field goal in overtime, or else they lose against Tulsa. And so anything can honestly happen. And, that's what's so fun about these group of 5 games. I find when we do our bowl pick 'em every year, right, guys? Like, I find that the group of 5 teams are the hardest to predict. I really do. Like, I feel like I pretty well know what's going to happen in the Power 5 game, but the group of 5 teams it just seems like anything can literally happen.
Yep.
It's just wacky.
Yeah, the thing about Memphis is they're showing like they're really wanting to pass the ball, but the truth of it is they want to run it with Gainwell, and that's really my concern, that Memphis can't run the ball against SMU. They've got a safety, Patrick Nelson, I believe, is mentioned in a few lists in their conference, and then another one, Rodney Clemens. I think they're pretty strong. That's what I want to see. If Memphis can run the ball on SMU consistently, they have a chance to win. But if they can't, they're probably going to have a shootout. And I think, like Bailey says, that SMU has a better quarterback, and in a shootout, you got to go with him.
You do have to point out, though, the better defense does belong to Memphis. Memphis is in the top 40 of most statistical defensive categories. Earlier in the year, rather than later, they were actually much better on that side of the ball. It seems like maybe some things have been exposed over the few weeks that have left them open to some poor games recently. But I would have to think that Memphis's game plan is probably going to – I think that the tempo Memphis would want to play, like Rob said, you want to run the football, play decent defense, and try to keep Bouchel and those boys off the field. I think that's the formula for Memphis. But ultimately, I don't know that they'll be able to hold up on that. And because to your point, I mean, SMU, one of their strengths is they've got some players that can move around and hit the gaps. So that's one of the things they do well on defense. So Memphis probably is going to have to throw in order to win the game, and that doesn't favor them.
Well, the game is important is if SMU wins, then there's an argument for obviously a Group of 5 team to be in the playoffs. But if they lose, then there's an argument against including them in the playoffs. So that's the whole narrative. What this is really about.
This is big for the people that want a G5 team to get up in there.
Yeah. So
and it's big for both teams because also this is, and I'm looking at both of their schedules right now. I'm thinking this is probably going to be the only ranked opponent that either team faces this year.
Well, until, of course,
Cincinnati.
The winner of that game deals with the winner, whoever comes out of the other side, which we presume is going to be Cincinnati, but could also be UCF. They better hope it's not UCF.
And see, Memphis and Cincinnati play on the 29th of November. That's Memphis' last game of the year. So let's put up a nightmare scenario where Memphis wins and then beats Cincinnati, and then who gets a New Year's Day bowl out of USF and Memphis at that point? Both of them with one loss.
Boise State.
There you go.
I think it'll be Boise State. But you also have to look at Appalachian State. They're still an undefeated team. UAB could make a statement for that this weekend against
I hope so. Go Blazers!
Tennessee team.
Yeah,
man, I'm going to tell you what though. There are going to be a lot of people with Bill Clark's number on their speed dial as far as coaching searches at the end of the year. Because if he beats,
Tennessee might need to consider it.
If he beats Tennessee, he might just want to go ahead and hang around after the game.
Yep,
I'm just saying. Yeah, I'll drive back home, guys. Y'all go without me. I'll be back in a little bit.
He's going to be a hot commodity if he keeps winning. Does he really want to work for the Great Pumpkin?
He's from Alabama, so he knows better. He knows the evil that is Phil Fulmer. So, I'm sure he's got more sense in that.
He might want to take the Hoover job.
I still can't believe that Tennessee was about to probably hire Mike Leach, and then Fulmer came in and gave that other guy the fucking hook, literally.
Yeah.
Like, no, we're gonna hire Jeremy Pruitt. What the fuck are you doing?
And you probably won't.
And that was after they already blew through the whole, Greg Schiano thing.
You probably won't be.
I still can't believe that shit happened.
Dude, that was right. That right there was unprecedented because never before has there ever been a coach that was hired.
Tennessee fans caring about moral standards.
Well, I mean, no, I'm just.
Or is that not what you're talking about?
There is that too. Now let's go and be fair, because there were suddenly a lot of indignant Vols that because he was just like 4 steps removed from the whole Sandusky thing, was implicated and also exonerated in court. So I mean, there's not really much else you can do about that.
Something really fucked up's in the water in Knoxville for what happened.
Ohio State saw fit to hire him, and Ohio State, was pretty close to that situation. So I'm sure that they kind of, looked under every single rock before they made that hire. And then, of course, Tennessee came courting. He had already inked a deal with Tennessee. And here was the unprecedented part: is never before have I ever seen a fan base that when their coach was announced, we're going to announce him at 2 o'clock this afternoon, before 12 o'clock gets there, they had already had they had the offer taken off the table. And that's the power of social media in 2019. That has never happened before, ever.
Well,
the only thing I've seen
you've had people
Notre
upset about a hire. Don't get me wrong. Hey, we're disgruntled about this, but they go ahead and let him play through a few years and see how it goes. That didn't happen here. They had already preliminarily inked a deal with him, was getting all the other rest of the formalities out, and they had already had the press conference ready. I mean, he was their next head coach.
Bob,
my favorite thing about this thing is, like, I'm pretty sure everyone close to Jeremy Pruitt was kind of like, hey, I don't think you should hire him as a head coach. And Tennessee's like, yeah, well, Mike Leach isn't going to cut it, so we'll have to hire Jeremy Pruitt.
Mike Leach would have been amazing at Tennessee.
Hey, Bob, what were you saying about Notre Dame?
Well, Notre Dame had a similar situation with George O'Leary. Only the difference was that he signed with him, and then they found out he lied on his resume.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
What did he lie about? Something stupid. I mean,
we all lie on our resume.
He's like, I worked for this school, and he didn't, or something. It was like way back in his career.
Yeah.
There was no reason for him to lie about that. He had done enough to Notre Dame was willing to hire him, but that's just how fickle this stuff can be. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you ever heard, but right before Rich Brooks was hired at Kentucky, Bill Parcells was in talks with the University of Kentucky to sign there.
I didn't know that.
Bill Parcells has wanted college jobs before. He had actually flirted with Alabama at one point before they got Shula, I think.
Mm-hmm. And they had inked the deal, and Jerry Jones called him, and he went and coached the Cowboys. We ended up with Rich Brooks. And the reason we got Rich Brooks, it was Bill Parcells' recommendation to Dr. Todd at UK.
So
that didn't work out so hot, did it?
Are y'all both picking SMU in this one?
I mean, I'm going to pick Memphis so that there'll be some kind of opposition. I believe Memphis has to catch fire. I think we can, though.
If we want to get some friction, all we got to do is talk about y'all's real teams for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine sucks. But we're doing some interesting and historic stuff at the quarterback position. I don't know if y'all paid attention to Lynn Bowden lately.
That was an impressive win. I did not think that Kentucky would beat Missouri. Did you?
No. In fact, I think we were pretty much all across the board when we made the picks on that one as far as the futility of
Are you telling
Kentucky
me Missouri now has a loss to Vanderbilt, Kentucky, and Wyoming?
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing about it is, Tim, is that Kentucky's quarterback is a wide receiver. Lynn Bowden's a wide receiver. Yeah. They run the old school option all game long. He might have threw it like 5 times. And every time that he unleashed it, it was like a 50 or 60-yard deep pass. I mean, he didn't throw nothing short. He didn't even try to make any checkdowns, right? So the entire offense of Kentucky was a quarterback that was pick and run on the.
That sounds like Baylor in what was that 15? Whenever what was it? Seth Russell, Jarrett Stidham, and whoever their third string quarterback got hurt, so that they were just taking direct snaps to running backs and wide receivers and ran for like 400 yards against North Carolina.
Yeah, it was, yeah, it was like Arkansas when they had what was his name? I don't know. He played for the Raiders for a long time, but they had that one guy. They was having to do it to him for I think a couple games. But anyway, Kentucky stumbled this year. But the amazing thing about it is, Now, I predicted at the beginning of the year that we'd be 8-4 or 9-3, right? That's what I thought. Well, I know it sounds insane, but it's possible we could get 8-4. Right? Our
What's
next
the
game
record right now?
Right now, it's 5-4. We got 3 games left. Tennessee, we got a bye week this week.
Oh shoot! You guys have already played Georgia in Florida.
Right. So it's Tennessee, UT Martin, which I'm sure we'll beat them, and Louisville are the last 3 games. So it's possible that Kentucky could go 8-4, which I wouldn't call it a great comfort.
That sounds like 8-4 to me.
So,
yeah.
Okay, enough about Kentucky for a minute. What's going on over in Oklahoma?
Well, there's probably right now some dudes still getting rolled from practice right now. But
I mean, everybody I knew thought that Kansas State was going to beat Oklahoma.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much the easy money. Yeah.
It was.
It's actually, this is why we love college football. Just chaos and craziness can just happen. It was just one of those games where Kansas State could do no wrong, you could do no right, and you mix that up for 3 quarters, and then you have a 4th quarter where OU's like, oh shit, we're going to lose to Kansas State, and then they ran out of time. And
let me ask,
there she wrote, college football.
I have not seen the game yet. I've seen bits and pieces of it. How much did Jalen contribute to the loss?
So Jalen statistically had a good game, but there was no sides of the ball that are immune from blame here. Mm-hmm. I would say it's more on coaching than players. I think Riley got out-coached, and I think Grinch got out-coached in this game. But Jalen was probably the player of the game that most OU media people have said is Gabe Burkic, which is the kicker for OU. So that goes to tell you that's probably not a good day. But anyway, I digress. Jalen was good, but in the 2nd and 3rd quarter, he was doing stuff where he held the ball too long, and OU ended up having to punt more times than they're accustomed to.
I think Jalen only had like 395 yards in this game, right?
Jalen statistically played great, but in the middle of the game, the offense stalled, and that was a little on Jalen, a little on Lincoln. And then the defense, obviously, they had a nightmare game. But, I mean, it's pretty tough whenever your opponent starts in your territory pretty much every drive.
Mm-hmm.
Special teams was awful outside of the kicking game. Let's see, we shanked a punt, muffed a punt, and then apparently illegally touched a ball, which you guys already know my feelings on that subject.
Muffed a punt, what does that mean? You kicked it into the other guy's pussy?
Yeah. Kicked it in their muff. Yeah.
It's been a long time since I heard that term. I know what it means.
Muff. Now, wait a minute. The illegal touching, though, that was reviewed fairly heavily because I watched that game, or at least watched the second half of that game, and it was reviewed in every single possible angle. And I'm sorry,
it definitely hit him at about 9.5 yards.
9.5 yards.
The problem is he was blocked into the ball, which means that it's not illegal touching.
Yeah, that'd be the same as if you was punting it and you block somebody to the kicker. This is where I agree with you on.
Like the still shot is him holding his arms up, trying not to touch the ball as the guy has both hands full force on his back. And then the Big 12 said that they reviewed it and they considered the force touching. And then the Big 12 said, oh, that's not reviewable. Even though in college football, by the way, not a lot of people know this. If you're in the review booth in college football, the rule states that anything that's obvious that's missed that can change the outcome of the game can get reversed, including penalties. So the referee and the review referee did have the ability to change the call to say because basically the Big 12, how they're getting their way out of it is they're saying, hey, illegal touching is reviewable but not forced touching. So they're saying we can only see that the ball was touched, but not that a guy. They can see the effect, but not like why it happened. So even though it was force touched, it wasn't their fault basically because that's not reviewable. Even though it is definitely something that they can do in the review booth, and I've seen the Big 12 officials do it against Oklahoma, in Bedlam in 2017. An OU player got called for targeting, and on the field they said it was targeting before. After the interception, so it would have been Oklahoma football, but then just 15 yards taken off. But then when they went to the review booth, they saw that it happened before the interception and changed it. And that's a spot where they can use that rule, where they can see it could change the outcome of the game, and it was just an obvious mistake.
Well, let me just say this.
They've used it.
The
Go ahead,
the
Dave.
conference is the 12 conference is risking a lot of money by having Oklahoma losing this game. So
Yeah,
I don't understand, and it's weird because this is not the first time. As most OU fans would tell you, the Big 12 officiating against Oklahoma has been bizarre because you see in the ACC or the SEC or not in the Pac-12, they don't really have a darling out there, but the team that they put their hopes on, you suddenly see them get all the 50-50 calls that could go either way. Like, it works the exact opposite for Oklahoma. It's just been bizarre forever. Like, Texas Tech last year was one of the worst officiated games against Oklahoma that I can remember. And I'm like, why would the Big 12 want Oklahoma to lose to Texas Tech in November?
Yeah, see, I've seen this before in my life, too. I mean, in UK in the Tim Couch and Jared Lorenzen days, they couldn't catch a break to save their lives. So it was some of the worst calls I ever seen. And if it's scripted for them to lose, they can't catch a break. And if it's scripted for them to win, then everything goes their way in terms of how the calls seem to land. And last year was the only time I ever see that not go against UK, even though I don't feel that they were any better last year at 10-3 than they were at 8-5 with Tim Couch.
Well, guys, we're fixing to have to run over to by now, definitely drunken President Pike.
Excellent.
And I got to give a shout out to Jay Phyllis, who is watching from a watch party.
Sweet. What up, Jay?
But anyway, guys, we appreciate it, and it was a great it was an excellent segment, as I expected.
All righty.
All right. Take care, fellas.
Are you irritated with something we said on the podcast? Well then, fuck you. Call the Smack line and tell us all about it at 304-508-BAIT. Don't be a pussy fuck boy. Call the Smack line today. Messages left on our Smack line will be used at the end of Smacking Off the podcast episodes.
Hashtag Family Smack. The worst smack group ever. Look for us on Facebook and on MeWe.
Yeah, get our shit together. Ladies and gentlemen, it's President Pike with Pike's Predictions.
President Pike, have your shit together.
Yes, sir. That is correct. I will make sure to have my shit together next time. President Pike, what's up, homie?
I'm sitting here in the bar in D.C. watching the Nats. 2-2, Game 6 of the World Series.
How do you feel about it?
It's 2-2. Adam Eaton just hit a home run probably about a minute and a half ago to tie it up.
Oh, wow.
Pretty big stuff.
Yeah, very big stuff. So what do you got for us this week?
Oh, so I won my lock of the week, and I said take Houston Game 3.
You did.
The President Pike lock of the week.
Oh, shit. Okay. And then they went on to win game. Yeah!
Hell yeah!
Juan Soto! Home run, baby! Oh, shit! All right, that's up 3-2.
Oh, sweet. What inning is it?
Live action right there.
Where are we at? We don't have the game on right now. Where are we at in the game?
It's on Fox.
Oh, okay. Well,
It's getting rowdy. There's a lot of excitement in the nation's capital right there. Oh, did y'all see when Trump went Game 5 and they put him on the Jumbotron and everybody booed?
Really?
I heard about that.
Why is everybody so mad at President Trump? You know, he's everybody's president.
He's a fucking racist idiot. Why? I mean, oh, and the Caps just won.
I will say this: he's less popular in Washington D.C. than he is in some cities.
He's also less popular in Mexico.
Oh, they love him in Mexico.
Some do.
Yeah.
He was on the
honey,
TV.
I'm gonna go. Hold on, I'm gonna go outside. Hey, I'm gonna go outside and smoke.
You're smoking? Oh my gosh! I don't know anybody that smokes anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's weed. Gosh damn. Okay.
Yeah.
So my
They're legal there, by the way.
there's a lot of games I like this week.
Let's talk about it.
The game I like a lot is a Thursday night NFL game. San Francisco. My Pike lock of the week is San Francisco -10 against the Arizona Cardinals.
And that's the President Pike lock of the week.
Yeah, love that. I think that I think they'll win by 3 touchdowns. Honestly, I think it's going to be like 31-10, something in that range.
All right, you got any more?
What do you? How do you feel about the Dogs and the Gators? Let's talk about this for half a minute.
What is the spread on that? I've been really busy. See, we opened up a brand new furniture store here in Washington, D.C., and I'm working at it as a salesperson. I got demoted from manager to salesperson.
What happened?
By the way,
Let's talk about it. What happened?
I had a confrontation with a customer.
What kind of confrontation? Because I definitely need to hear this.
Okay, so I'm in there, and I'm just sitting there minding my own business. All of a sudden, a customer that I sold 3 weeks ago comes in, receipt in hand, and he says, "You fucked up my furniture." I'm like, "What the fuck? You fucked up my furniture?" So what happened?
He's had this shit for 3 weeks, and then he's talking about your shit's fucked up.
The delivery guys went into this guy's house, and when they unwrapped the furniture broke on the truck on the way to the guy's house. So
that's not your fault.
He blames it on me.
Yeah,
and
you didn't do
cussing
that.
At me, provoking me.
Did you load that piece of furniture onto the truck? Yeah, you had nothing to do with that shit.
Did they order the extra pizza insurance? No.
So I said very calmly, "Sir, I apologize. Let's order you some more, and we'll get you a brand new delivery, and I'll pay for the delivery, and I'll give you $300 back on your credit card for the inconvenience." He started to insult me about my accent, the way I talk. And I was like, "Well, sir, if you don't like it, we can go outside and talk about this. I'll get off at 9 o'clock if you want to talk about
So
this."
you basically just told that motherfucker what's up, right?
Come to find out, guys, he was a secret shopper.
They knew you were. They knew you were coming off the hinges.
You told
at some
the
point.
secret shopper to let's step outside because you talking about how I talk and I'm fixing to fuck your face up.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then,
That's a good
So
story.
they didn't fire me. Now I'm just back at the salesperson.
They just wanted you back.
So whoa, what's that?
So let's go. Hold on. Let me reiterate.
Go ahead.
So I get transferred to another store, right? I wrote $60,000. I sold $60,000 worth of furniture in 5 days.
Wow.
That's $3,600 commission right there.
Fucking
in 5
A.
days. Lifestyle of the rich and famous.
Hashtag lifestyles and the rich and famous.
They're only paying me about $700 a week to be the manager, so I was like, hell, it's probably a better deal anyways.
Yeah.
They were just wanting you back in sales full time.
Yeah, I'm back in sales. I feel alive again. The customers walk in. How are we doing, ladies and gentlemen? And I start showing them beautiful furniture. I feel me again. I feel great.
Right.
If
but
you
you're
want-
watching out now for those secret shoppers, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck them secret shoppers. They guys are fucking me up.
What you need to do.
Because they were going around. Because our owner, he owns 46 stores. So the secret shopper is going all around all the different 46 stores.
I mean, what business is of his? What's going on in that fucking store? Why the hell is he even worried about it?
I think what you need to do is separate the wheat from the chaff from a customer that's going to buy something versus somebody that's there just to kind of fuck around. Offer them a blowjob right out of the gate. If you offer them a blowjob like within the first 30 seconds of meeting them, you'll be able to figure out what kind of person
God
they
says
are.
don't judge, but I judge people.
Hey, one question. What is chaff?
I don't know. Something
you separate from the wheat?
It's in the Bible, I think.
It is in the Bible, separating the wheat from the
chaff. That was those things. Remember the hanging chaffs from the from the boats? Yeah. The bush. Yeah, that's why Al Gore's not president because of the hanging chaffs.
I remember that. Yeah.
Al Gore should have been president, but that's another subject.
Al Gore invented the internet.
We wouldn't be in this
right
situation
now.
we're in right now if Al Gore was.
That's what we'll do. Next week we'll talk about Al Gore inventing the internet and him should have been president in 2000.
Al Gore's got to be a Vol fan. He's from Tennessee.
I mean, you got to think he got cheated.
He probably is a Vol fan.
There's no other way around that. He got cheated.
He probably did. I don't know. But I don't see Al Gore doing 9/11 quite as good as Bush did. So. Because 9/11 was going to happen one way or the other. It didn't matter who was president.
Yeah.
Bet your ass
But
on
you know
that.
what?
It's good to have
You know
people
what?
on the inside,
I'm
though,
a
and that's what the
big-time
Bushes were
liberal,
for.
liberal. But President Bush, he did the best he could do in them circumstances. I will give him that. He he handled it the right way. You know
Yeah,
what
he
I mean?
did exactly what he was told. That's correct.
That's what all the presidents do.
Yeah.
Right. As a hardcore liberal, I am. I really don't. I have no hatred towards. I have no hatred towards Bush.
You're just you
I really
just
don't.
like him now that Ellen was buddying up with him.
Ellen.
Yeah, you didn't hear about that?
Ellen's
Oh yeah. I saw that. They were sitting.
That's a
beside
cool
each other.
dude.
Yeah,
I like Ellen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Ellen too. She's very liberal.
Ellen has.
But she was still hanging with
Ellen
GW.
has excellent fashion sense.
Yep. And so does that dude that on MSNBC. What's his name? Black-headed dude.
Hey.
Something just happened.
Oh, I'm going back into action.
Yeah, there's some baseball to watch.
Like Ralph Maddow or some shit. You ever seen it?
Rachel Maddow. I do Rachel Maddow. I would.
I wouldn't.
I would.
I'm not doing her.
I like bitchy women. Bitchy women. Do
I
it
will
for me.
do Ellen before I do.
Hey, y'all want to talk to Jacqueline for a second?
Yes.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Say hey.
Who's that?
It's the first lady, ladies and gentlemen. What's up, first lady? What's going on?
This is the police.
This is the police. We've been we've been investigating Justin for quite some time. Yes.
Well, you better go home.
No, we're at home right now. We're just letting him know that we're going to come pick him up in the morning. For what?
I'm sorry. I'm talking to my cousin right now. Okay, babe.
I'm the police. No, come back.
The first lady.
We told her
of
that.
Family Smash.
We told her that we were the police.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Oh,
she.
nervous.
Yeah,
Hey,
I think she believed it. I
For
really
a second,
do.
she did get quiet.
Yeah, she did. She was like, "No, they are really going to come pick him up in the morning. Holy shit! I got to pack."
Yes. Hey, I don't speak English.
Yeah, you do.
No, I'm playing.
I don't either.
Yeah, I know. I'm Spanish.
I know. I hear it. I like that. That's spicy.
Yo solo hablo español.
We're from Alabama. We're actually on a podcast right now.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm from South America, Boliviana.
Ah, nice.
Yes. Anyways,
Bolivia.
we're having a big debate right now in Bolivia. So we have a president that doesn't want to come out of his lead. You know Fidel Castro from Colombia or Venezuela, I'm assuming?
Yes.
I'm assuming you guys know that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the same type of president. We have no Democratic or, the other.
You don't have
Republican.
parties.
Republican. No Democrat, no Republican.
Right, no parties.
Exactly. So we have a dictator in our country, and we're trying to take him out of our country.
Well, we're in the USA, baby. We ain't got to worry about that shit.
Then what you need to do is you need to write a letter to the president and tell him that there's oil in Bolivia. You let him know that there's oil in Bolivia. Trust me, we'll be there in 5 minutes.
Yeah, a letter to Trump.
Yeah,
Okay,
we'll liberate
let's
those
talk
people
to Justin.
from their oil.
Hey, you know Bolivia is the death place of Che.
I'm back.
Che.
That was the first lady in Family
Che Guevara?
Che Guevara,
Yeah.
yes. That's the
She
death
is
place
hot
of.
and sexy, and she's a little tipsy tonight.
That's awesome. No, we really enjoyed talking to her. That we went politics there for a minute, and I loved
She's
it.
very shy. She don't like talking to a lot of my friends, but when I tell her I'm getting on the podcast, she always understands.
Oh, everybody wants to talk to me.
Yeah.
All right, well we're gonna let y'all get back to drinking
There's a
and.
lot of baseball to be watched.
Yeah, y'all watch your game, man. We really appreciate you coming on as always.
Always a
Ladies and
pleasure.
gentlemen, President
Lock of
Justin
the week.
Pike.
Take the Niners -10 against the Cardinals. Get rich.
And that's the Justin Pike Lock of the Week.
All right.
See you guys.
Later.
All right, and we'll see you guys.
We did it.
We did.
We got through this show. We treated this show like our bitch.
We did.
Yeah.
Guys, we'll see you guys on Sunday, and enjoy the Live 10 before we head out.
Peace.
This week's Life Championship Top 10 is brought to you by Bad Month Tires, cuz who the fuck can afford Goodyear? Those fuckers are expensive as shit. And also by Dr. Thunder, not nearly as good as Dr. Pepper, but a whole hell of a lot cheaper. And now, our champions of Life Countdown. Number 10, the Washington Huskies. Number 9, the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Number 8, the Georgia Bulldogs. Number 7, the Arizona State Sun Devils. Number 6, the Wisconsin Badgers. Number 5, the Michigan Wolverines. Number 4, making their 2019 Big Ten debut, the Oklahoma Sooners. Number 3, the Auburn Tigers. Number 2, the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame, and the new #1 for Week 10, the only team with their own network, the Texas Longhorns.
Find Smacking Off the podcast on Facebook and on YouTube.
Tune in to Smacking Off the podcast every Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. Fuck each and every motherfucker who doesn't.